So how do I go back to Zoom?
Just press go to Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, can you take it? Text them. Take it.
All right. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, whatever time of the day you are at, wherever you're joining us. We want to welcome you back to Sober Sunday. It's been a while. Those of you who have been following us, you've been asking, when are we resuming? We are so grateful that you're joining us. This is Simon Bevy, and we are on Sober Sunday, stimulating conversations with myself. I always have guests, and I'm glad as we come towards the end of the year. This definitely has been a hard year. Lots of things have happened with COVID, and all of us have felt it around the world. And as we come towards the end of the year, we're going to talk about some impactful things. I think all of you have seen that there have been challenges with the youth. And it's not only in Kenya, it's all over the world. Many excesses in terms of drugs, prescription drugs, but also hard drugs, in terms of alcoholism, in terms of morality, and all the clips that have been doing the rounds about some behaviors that are not very pleasant to the society and good for the young people. So we're going to be talking about that. We'll talk about what we need to do as parents and all of us who are concerned about the young people in our society. So again, welcome to Sober Sunday, Excesses Among the Youth and Beyond. That's what we're talking about. I'm so excited to have two wonderful guests here. It's their first time on Sober Sunday. Let me invite all of you as we do this. It's going to be exciting today, especially the stories we're going to hear. So I would like for you to invite your friends and start watch parties, and let's do this together. Let's spread this conversation. I want to introduce Faith Nashipai. We want to apologize. We got her name wrong on the fly. The Nashipai and Naishipai, I think that's what we wrote. But it's Faith Nashipai, a good friend of mine. She's doing a great work with thriving families, and she's going to mention that. And also, she's a psychologist. So she comes to us from a place of practice, but also a place of practical interactions with families. So, and she's a mother as well and a wife. So, Faith Nashipai, we're glad to have you here. Please say something to us and add anything to your introduction that I've not added and that I've not included.
Thank you so much, Simon. Indeed, I am excited to be here at Sober Sunday. Thank you for inviting me. I truly appreciate this opportunity. Yes, I am a mother, and I'm a mother of 3 men in the making, and I'm a wife to one. What do we do at Thriving Families? We are a psychosocial consultancy. We offer counseling services. We provide services with a special focus on the family, but we use different channels. In our work, we also engage men a lot because we have a serious pillar that is looking at men. Just the other day, we partnered in marking the International Men's Day together. And we look at the inner wounds of men. We look at where are men coming from? What is this that happened in their youth or in their upbringing, in that foundational space that did not go well with them and it's affecting them today? So we are saying that men should stop bleeding on their loved ones. That is what we say. Yes, and I am excited to be here, and we are here to talk about family life. Let's see what is wrong with our children, and I'm excited. Asante.
Thank you very much, Faith. Glad to see what you're doing. Really proud of the work that you're doing. Recently, through one of my friends who has been a board member of Transform Nations for a long time, I got to meet Mr. Solomon Gitau. And Solomon has been, I was told your story briefly, and I was just blown away by your story, that you've actually lived out these excesses, and you are now helping other people who are out there with the excesses. So Solomon, we're glad to have you here. You lead an organization, you're part of this, of the leadership of this organization called, is it Great Life Concern? Greater Life Concern. And we'd like to hear more about it, and we're going to get into it. But tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe family, a little background, what you do now, and then we'll get to the story.
Thank you, Pastor Mbevi. I'm really glad to be here. I've really wanted to meet you for a long time, and I've heard about the work you do with men for a long time. Solomon Gitao, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I have 3 children, and I am a person who is passionate about seeing transformation and change in the lives of men. Specifically, men whose addictions have driven them to living in the streets. I work with those that society derogatively refers to as chokoras, because I was one. And I'm excited to be here to talk about teen excesses, because as we explore these excesses, I would really like people out there to know that this thing can happen to anyone. When you hear my story, you'll know that this thing is for anyone. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you very much, Solomon. We are glad that you're here. So we'll begin. And again, those of you who are following us on Facebook, please feel free to make comments. We're going to sample some of your comments. We're going to take some of your questions as we continue. And again, I remind you, please invite your friends, remind those who have been part of us and others who have not, that we are having this conversation, sober conversation about our young people. Let's start off with you, Faith. I mean, we partnered the other day, Transform Nation, with the organization and others to celebrate the International Men's Day. And I know you work a lot with young people and parents, especially parents and the psychosocial part of it, in counseling them and talking about the challenges they're facing. What are some of the what do you think are like 2 or 3 top reasons why the young people in a much broader way, in a much bigger way, they're getting into these excesses? I mean, some of the videos we see about the young people and what they're doing with drinking, with sexual promiscuity, where they're not just bound, they're just doing it everywhere. What's going on?
Good question, Simon. And do I have 3? I think I have one major one that we all ignore, but it's the glaring truth about life, and that is parenting. Basically, we as parents are too busy. We as parents, we do not forge relationships with our children. We ignore our children in a big way. What do I mean? We assume that providing for them, giving them instructions, and taking them out on a weekend, or just telling them to be orderly and making sure that they've gone to school is parenting. Parenting is more than just providing. Children are have disconnected with parents, or they've never had a connection with their parents. So we're in a space where, because of that one gap, we are having a ripple effect of so many other things. Parents are not keen on matters to do with media. That's another one. Parents are not keen on establishing the right kind of platforms for their children to express themselves. And so when a child is going to drink, or a child is going for that OG, it's another way of saying that I am finding friendships. It's another way of I am finding acceptance out there. because parents are not accepting their children. I think broadly, I would look at it from first parenting, the absentee parent, the present absent parent. Ask me about present absent parent later. I would also talk about boarding school. Before, we had this thing of compensating. Children would come home, and after every 3 months, at least they had all our attention. It's short time, so they have all our attention. We are there, we are available, we give them what they want. We don't even ask questions when they ask, can I have? We don't ask, why do you want? We just give. So now resources are scarce. Challenges are that we are just finding each other. Mtoto ako kwa mguu ya mama na already ako 17, 18. So I mean, the space is kidogo in the family right now. So how then do we as parents, because we've already spent too much time with our children not doing anything. There's so many parents who've not done anything much as they had all the time. They didn't do much with their children. And that is where we are finding children having all these excesses.
Okay.
Over to you, Simon.
No, I hear you that it's possible for us as parents to feel like we are connected with our children because we are in the same space, but really not have an idea what's going on because we are not fully connected. We are not engaged. We are not even keen on what's going on and what they are doing and how much time they are spending in secret. So I believe that's true. It's good to see some of you are giving some comments on Facebook Live. Again, thanks for inviting your friends. I see some of you saying we are glad. Karimi saying glad Sober Sunday is back. I'd really missed these stimulating conversations. That's great. Masigaki says parents not accepting their children. That's deep and true stuff. That's true. And Pat Lincoln saying you've been waiting for this conversation. So welcome again, those of you on Facebook, keep letting us know what's going on. Solomon, let's come to your story. Where did it start? How did you end up on the streets and what excesses did you get involved in?
It's a long story, but allow me first of all to say to think a bit what she has just said.
Okay.
Is that we're talking about excesses. They've always been around. But what I feel, we the elders pretend like we were never there. We act like things, you either beat it out of the kid, you are never there to listen to this kid. And so these teenagers are prone to experimentation. We experimented, we are there. So I'll agree with that. There's a lot of problem in parenting because we act like this is new to us, like we never passed those stages. But anyway, we just get to my story.
Yeah, and that's an important point, Solomon, as you got to the point, because I think sometimes our children don't think we were once children, or we behave like we were never once children, and we don't give them our stories. Our stories would help them to know that we tried these things, they don't work. Some of us went far, some of us did not. But frank conversations with our children. We need to be real with them and not pretend that we are from another planet. But go ahead, Solomon, tell us how it started.
Yeah, so I needed to put that just to put into perspective what I do now. Right now, we run a rehabilitation, not a rescue center. That picks up men living on the streets, rescues them, rehabilitates them through the word of God, reconciles them with their families if the reconciliation process is possible, and finally reintegrates them back into society as productive members of this society. Deal also with a lot of, I do a lot of speaking in schools, colleges, churches, and other places through podcasts, television, radio, because I'm also trying to get to children out there. I've even written a book which aims to get to children so that people can understand, because I always wonder, when you talk about the excesses of the youth, I would ask myself this question: are they aware of the possible future consequences of their actions today. Most likely,
That's
they are
right.
not aware. Most likely, they have nobody to tell them that they primarily are they're the primary victims of their bad choices. But they have nobody telling them this. They have nobody showing them that, and yeah, you can pass through here and things go wrong. So I wrote this book. This is my book. It's called Chokora, My Life as an Addict. We'll talk more about how you get it, but you can also get it online at Books for My Soul. The purpose of writing this book, I tried to reach out to the youth because I once was a youth. I once was what we are calling them hard-headed and in excesses.
Yeah. So how did that start for you? How did that start for you?
A very improbable story. I start from the age of 7 years. At 7 years old, I went to my first school, and this is in the 70s. I was in Consolata Primary. This is in the 70s. Watoto wa wazungu tu. Later on, I went to Nairobi Primary for boarding school. And I moved on from then on. So you see, you start out with some, by the age of 13, I had a motorbike. My parents had gifted me a motorbike. By the age of 15, I would drive my father's cars to the bar. So I was a privileged child. And so that didn't look like the story that I didn't even think, leave alone going to the streets. You don't even think you'll ever know poverty. But yes, it happened to me. So I began drinking at 13. And at 13 years. This is, I'm 54 years old now. 1979, we were just about, the annual ASK showground, guys go for the annual show, and this was the year we were just finishing standard 7. We were feeling very much well. We were about to graduate to go on to high school. We're in that transition stage, And at that transition stage, you're just feeling like you are men. You have, of course, no information, just like the kids of today. And so at the showground, at a night event that used to be called Tattoo, one of these guys suggested, why don't we have a drink? And we all said, okay. We're even too young to go order for ourselves. So somebody, brother there, went and got for us a crate of beer. He sat somewhere, a bunch of 13 and almost 13-year-old guys. And that was the first time that that was my first drink ever. And I can tell you, I hated the taste of alcohol. In fact, had it not been for my peers around me, I would have spat it out. I'd probably never gone back to it again. But the thing is, I could see all these other guys and the way they were grimacing as they drank, but nobody wanted to be the first one to chicken out. I'm concentrating on this part because it sometimes happens, guys. So the only thing that caused us to continue drinking was because of the pressure of our peers. I mean, logo, a packet of cigarettes is introduced into the mix, and you take a puff of a cigarette, you cough, your entire chest almost comes out. But once again, you hate the taste, you hate the way it's making you cough. But once again, because your peers are there, you can't help them see. You can't chicken out. You're a man. I can tell you, Pastor Bevi, it probably took only 3 drinks. But when the effect came, when the effect of that alcohol came, and what I felt, because I felt invincible. For the first time, I had a sense of self-esteem. For the first time in my life, I felt worthy. And that feeling was what I chased for the rest of my years. Just that feeling until it eventually landed me in the street. But just to skip through
Wow.
the story, I
Yeah.
went on into high school the next year, continued drinking.
Yeah.
By Form 2, I had been kicked out of secondary. For Form 2 second term, I had been kicked out of secondary. I was kicked out. I didn't inform my parents. And by the way, for 2 whole terms, as she said, as Faith had said before, parents are busy. Even then, they were busy. My mother was a pilot. My father was a pilot. My mother was a businesswoman. They were busy. 2 terms I didn't go to school, and 2 terms I didn't bring home reports, but nobody knew. I was skiving and I would go to spend the day drinking with my buddies. But coming to Form 3, just before we were to go to Form 3, somehow my father found out. Heroes of that time, hii shetani ya huku Nairobi haizi maliziwa hapa, we'll take the guy to watch. And so I was packed off to Marsabit. This is the 80s when it was still shifter territory. Packed off to Marsabit, and I got to that place.
So you're in Form 2 now when you're packed off.
Now we are going to Form 3. So I just went to Marsabit into Form 3.
Okay. And Solomon, before we come back to that, I think there are some very important points that you have raised. Let me just look at those and then we'll come back to you. But Faith, I think I like the points that Solomon raised. Number one, the parties, I think many times all of these parties are organized, and we have seen it in our time just recently. And as parents, we never really care what happens there. And that's where a lot of the people get introduced to these excesses in the parties. So don't allow your kids just to go to parties when you don't know what's going on. And out of curiosity and peer pressure, you don't want to look like you're the one who chickens out. So the power of peer pressure, that's what I would like Faith to speak into. And you said when you drank, you felt there was a false effect of confidence, invincibility, and self-esteem. You felt like you were the guy. Faith, from a psychological point of view, how do we help our children build this self-esteem so they don't start pursuing it in this high feeling of excesses?
Sorry, I have a visitor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone is coming to check on what Mama is doing. So, yes, peer pressure, force effect, the beauty of the party, and every other person every other young person today wants that moment where they are with their friends. They want that moment where they feel that, and this is what parenting has done. Parenting has done something that the lack of quality parenting is pushing our children away from us and away from the family when they are still very young. What do I mean? When the parent is not available and the parent is not embracing the child, as Solomon had mentioned, when the parent is not loving that child unconditionally, when the parent is overprotecting the child, then what is happening is that they are creating some things that are gaps in the lives of that child. Why? Because you're overprotecting, but you're not giving love. You're not sitting down to talk about issues of this child. You're not listening to them. You're not getting to understand their language. Because nowadays, even lingo itself, the Sheng we used to speak, Simon, in our days is totally different from what my sons are speaking today.
That's true.
So we are not keen. We are not keen on understanding these children. So when they go to their peers, they feel at home. So children feel strangers in our houses, which is supposed to be home, but they feel at home with their friends. So these are the same friends who will say, why don't we do a party? And innocently, it starts as an innocent idea. Very good idea. No, we are going to do this and we are going to, and yes, they'll come up with their ideas of what is going to be done. Then eventually someone decides, I see my father with this and I also try it. Or someone will literally come with some serious booze. And what happens is now they start sharing because it is friends and because we are safe with these people and we are at home. Will you not take water in the same home that you feel at home? You will take this water. So when booze is shared, they go ahead and they try it. Because number one, they've been accepted. They feel safe.
Yeah.
So everything that you have said as a parent goes off.
Yeah.
So I think number one that parents need to do, and to build the self-worth and to build the esteem of the child, is by their parents. We need to be very, we need to be, I'm looking for the right word, Simon. We need to assert our children. We need to appreciate our children and let them know that we appreciate them with our words, with our actions. Number two, we need to love them and and let them know that we are unconditional in our love. Because where our parents used to say, in our age, we used to say that ukipata mimba upeleke kwenye umetoa. That was a conditional love. You're only my child until you get pregnant. You're only my son until you start drinking. You're only my son until you impregnate a girl. But we don't open the clause of unconditional love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where regardless of your mistakes and whatever you do, you are a child of this house.
Yeah.
And I love you unconditionally. Another thing that parents do, we have staircase love. I call it staircase, where I love my son this much, and I love my second born this much, and I love my this other son this much, and we are, and parents are not even afraid. And I'm saying we parents, I know I'm a psychologist, I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm putting myself as a parent because I'm one, so that we can all understand each other. We as parents, we have this staircase love where we actually show it to our children that this child is loved more than the other. The girl is loved more than the boy. The girl is more protected than the boy. So at the end of the day, this child will find solace somewhere else. They'll find some love somewhere else. And this love that they find is not the best love. It's not, it's actually, it's a false. It's a false. Then I like what Solomon said about self-esteem and the worth. After he had taken his booze and he felt this force effect and he felt really some self-worth and all that. I'm sure he will confirm to us that that was false. It was a false feeling, because after the booze went off, I would want to hear what happened when he sobered up the first time. Back to you,
that's
Simon.
right. That's right. We are coming back to you, Solomon. But I like what you're saying. And I think, Faith, what you are saying is that we need to affirm our children, affirmation, affection, show them love, and then acceptance. I mean, it's interesting, Solomon, that these parents gave you a lot. They had a lot of money. I mean, you would drive to some parties. Very few kids get to do what you did in those days. And you can imagine, without that love, you could be out of school for 2 terms and they are not even aware, because they are busy doing other things. But the 3 A's, parents, that we are hearing, affirmation, affection, acceptance, those are very crucial for the child. And supervision, getting to know where your child is and what's going on, so that you don't get surprised. Force effect, Solomon. Let's get back to your story. So you're shipped off to some place in Marsabit. Do you continue drinking, and what goes on?
Yeah, first of all, let me just answer Faith on the issue of false effect. The thing is, the next day after my first drink, the next morning, the hangover was enough for me to hate this thing. But it was the only thing that gave me that sense of invincibility, that sense of self-worth, that made me feel I am something. And so I'll go back. It doesn't matter the after effects, you will go back. So anyway, went to Marsabit, take it down. By the way, all the time we were going to Marsabit, I was not really, I didn't have a choice. So we went. You feel like YOLO, and that's when you start actually looking around to get aware of your need, because you suddenly realize in those days, now Marsabit is a county now. There's a tarmac road. But in those days, the road ended at Isiolo. Those were the days anybody from Moyale, na huko mbele, if they reached Isiolo, they said they have come to Kenya. So it was that those days. So get on some trucks, with some shifters, with some anti-shifter police there, and went to Masaka. And when I looked at the place, I hated it. And in my mind, for me, remember, I'm careful. Let me say, this was my thought at the time. My parents can afford better. So why are they bringing me here? And I hated the place and decided this would be a one-stop place for alcohol, period. I was not going to study. This was like a place where we went with, it was a Catholic church that was mostly putting guys in schools there. So you have just old guys there. It's a place didn't have a proper uniform structure. But what happened there is that I was able to guilt trip my parents. For so much money, I think I was probably had more pocket money than the little school fees that was paid there. And so I drank. And now into the mix, you find those are the places, there's a lot of miraa. I found miraa. Kidogo, tukia kumbe, there are local outlets for local booze. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I spent 2 years in Marsabit. By God's grace, I didn't do too much harm to myself. But when I left Marsabit, I was dependent on alcohol.
So you were in addiction already by the time you left there. So your parents are thinking they're punishing you, bringing you to a place where you will stop being exposed to all of this, but you continue. They're giving you still a lot of money, and you get to use all of that, and you become dependent on alcohol. At that point, you're addicted. And then what happens? How did you get to the streets? Are your parents still taking care of you at that time?
Yeah, when I came back, because the story is long, I'll just skip over some parts.
Yeah.
But from there, I came back. I went to college kidogo, started working. But from then on, everything I did just revolved around making money. And after drinking, you make more money to drink. But the good thing was that constantly, I wasn't a guy looking for wealth. No, I was just looking, my plan was very simple. Drink, have a good time, make some more money, drink ad infinitum. The story will continue. That was the only feeling that I wanted. And this went on for a long time until a certain point where the people who cared started having serious conversations with me. People would come up to me and start as, now I'm in my 20s, and guys are coming up to me and they're asking me, when will you settle down? What's this, man? They are not going to be gentle with you. They just ask you straight, when are you going to grow up? Others are a bit more tactical. When will you start a family? And so I started to alienate myself from people. Any well-meaning person, anybody who cared enough to ask me about things, I alienated myself. I isolated myself from them and surrounded myself with only the people we drank with. The people at the time I thought we shared a common joy. I know in retrospect it was a common misery, but those were the guys I surrounded myself with. As time flew, and now I've petitioned my 25 years, I started suddenly realizing that the people I am with, I'm beyond 25, 26 now, the people I am with, we have nothing in common. The only thing we do is we meet in bars and drink. We don't even know these guys' place. You never visit their homes or anything. The women in there, if you have any romantic things, those are just short-lived escapades just to escape reality. But nothing serious will ever come out of there. And then I made the most stupid mistake that would eventually take me to the streets. I want to tell you this. I might have lived my life as a functional alcoholic for all time, and probably just died of alcoholism somewhere. But I was functional. And then because of feeling that I needed somebody in my life. I needed somebody who loved me unconditionally. I didn't want people who loved me when I'll stop drinking or I'll do this or because I'll do that. I wanted somebody who would love me unconditionally. And in my alcoholic mind, I came up with a grand plan how to get somebody who will love me unconditionally. And I decided I would have my own child. Now, Pastor, understand me at the time. The only person I thought could truly love me would only be my own child. And this was my reasoning. To your son or to your daughter, you are just daddy. You are not the alcoholic people say you are not what society brands you, you are not anything, you are daddy. And that is true even of your children today. Whatever society may call you, you will just always be daddy and they love you without conditions.
That's right.
That was the way I thought. Now I never once thought to think, what will I do for this child? I'm an addict. What will I do for the child? I only thought what the child could do for me.
Okay.
And then suddenly the logistics, you suddenly realize it comes to you very hard that you're not amoeba. You cannot just multiply yourself. A woman is necessary for the mix. Those women that you drink with, the ones you spend your days in bars with, those are not marriage material. You are not going to marry that. No. Talk of the pot calling the kettle black, like you'd not marry. And at that point in time, I had heard, like many people here, that good girls are found in church. So one Sunday I didn't drink. And I went to church. And I got in conversation with, I identified a target and got into conversation. And I will tell you this because you are a pastor. Churches are the most, that is where people are most vulnerable at, of any kind of cause. In a church compound, everybody lets their guard down. Everybody's duguna dada. Anybody who walks into a church compound and starts a conversation, you will continue the conversation. It's not like there you'd meet them on the street. So I identified my target. I spoke the language they spoke at the church, the proper greetings and etc. And after a short discussion, I took the topic to a hypothetical discussion on whether if we were suited for each other, how long would it take in a setup like this? And okay, this is our Pentecostal church. She told me all the blessings of the pastor and blessings of all that maneno. And I was asking time frame. Told me it takes about a year. I left the church. I went back to the bar. 1 year was too long. I was doing the mistake that would land me in the street.
No, I can hear you, and even as you continue, I think you brought up some points, and I'll let you. I'll give you another minute or so to take us to the street. But meanwhile, Faith, please be thinking about. I think he has raised the issue of isolation. Many times, children isolate themselves from the people who really love them, and that's a sign of danger when your child is isolating and not really getting around the people who will tell them the truth. And I think you talked about you're looking for love. That's really what you are looking for, either from your child or wherever you went. You wanted this love, and that's what you're seeking for. And Faith, in a short time after he finishes taking us to the street, you could also talk to us. How do we, when our children get into these excesses, how do we love them unconditionally without enabling them to continue? Because there's a way you can love someone and then you spoil them more. So how do you balance love and enablement? so that we make sure our children don't continue? And how do you continue to love a child who is already into drugs or excesses and they need your love still and you're mad with them? How do you balance that? But we'll come to you in a moment as you think about that. Solomon, in a minute or two, you can take us to how you ended up on the streets before we now come back and talk about how you got out.
Yeah, Pastor, maybe problem is getting to the streets took time. I
Yeah.
tried to be as fast as possible, but it took time. But this
Okay.
was an important part that I wanted you to note. That
That's right.
I went back to alcohol. The next Sunday, I went back to another church. I didn't find. But I'll tell you this. Because it was an obsession, the obsession of finding a woman who would give me a child. If you look for something hard enough, with all your heart, whether it's bad, you will find it. Because the next Sunday I went to another church, I didn't find anything I was looking for. And as I was going home at the gate of where I lived, I met a lady. And I asked her, it's about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Asked her to come in for a cup of tea. She accepted. That's 4. By 7 o'clock, 3 hours later, the Stambevi, we had courted, we had married, we had consummated the marriage, and she was moving in 3 hours. Never once did I stop to ask myself, how desperate was she? To me, the universe had given me an answer. Why would I think nimeangukia? Venye tunasemaga. Yes. And you know, for the next 1 year, basically we lived together. She had a child from an earlier relationship. The child lived somewhere with her mother. We lived together. We didn't get any kids. At the end of 1 year, met her in bed with somebody else. That really messed up things. And having contemplated whether I would kill her and whatever methods I would use to kill her, I figured out all of that would just land me in jail. And I left where we were living. I left with only my documents and the clothes on my back. And that is how I went to Isili. I wanted no sense of permanence. I wanted just a place to lay my head. I had now failed. Even this attempt of getting a child, even this one getting a wife and everything, my whole plan had come apart. And so I went to Isili, and that's when I went to live in lodgings. And that is the point at which I moved from functionality to dysfunctionality. Because when I went to Isili, now I went to lodgings and I started drinking. I probably quadrupled what I was drinking before. And now it became a story of you drink till the money runs out. If you need, if you have something else, you can go and get some more money. You go bring it and you drink till it finishes. When you have completely nothing, is the day you think of getting up to go look for some more. Started off in good lodgings, went to cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper accommodation until at a certain point. Now I want you to watch this economic decline. At a certain point in time, I walked into an accommodation place in Isili. In those places, the rooms used to host 3 beds, and 1 bed was 60 bob. Now, these are 3 strangers. Anybody can rent a bed, so you don't even necessarily have to know each other. And when I rented the bed the first time, 2 days later, unaona wale wanalala wawili, I asked them, what's up? These guys tell me, don't be a fool. So you pay 30 bob and use half the bed. That, just opened my eyes to another cheap kind of living. Just noting the way the incline is going. Now, those are places where they are just shared by drunks. You basically pay 30 bob. The thing has 2 blankets, 2 bed sheets, so you get 1 bed sheet, 1 blanket, and you put your shoes under the mattress. They serve as your pillow. So these are places which are used by people going through alcoholism, drugs and stuff, and they just need a place to get out in the morning. And that was the case from there. I now went into cheaper alcohol even until I got to know the Karubo dens. Then to Changan, Kamunya Madare, until the Karubo dens. And when you begin to take Karubo is the scum of alcohol, Pastor. That is the one that even if you're drinking Karubo, mtu achanga anasema yule ametupa mbao. You're not even sold that stuff.
So this is just for those who are international, you're from other nations. Karubo is a local brew here, which is one of the cheapest. So what you're saying is when you get there, then you're at the cheapest level of alcohol. So now you're on the streets, you're at that place, and you're taking,
You're not yet on the streets. You're still in those two lodgings of 30 bob. But now I want to show this economic decline. Karubo costs 8 shillings per one plastic kasuku. 3 of them are 24 shillings, you're drunk. 6 shillings, there was some to cigarettes called Rocket. And those ones were Kali. You smoked, you smoked like 3 times. So 6 of them, that's a 24 hours. 12 of them is a 24-hour supply. So that's 30. You can, lodging is 30 bob. So that is 60. Now, if you have 100 shillings, it means you have drunk, you have slept, and 40 bob, you will find some tura or some cheap stuff on the way and eat. Now you're down to, your budgets are just barely 100 shillings a day. And if you think that's bad, it was even getting worse. Because in those karaoke places, you find the guys, you find some extremely dirty guys. It's not your business to know why they are dirty and stuff like that. But these are the guys you now begin mixing with. Karaoke places are of the lowest people in desperation kabisa. And in those karaoke places is where one day I had 30 bob for a lodging. A guy approached me and asked me, "It house you buy some alcohol?" I said, "No, man, I've got 30 bob to go and sleep." And the guy tells me, "No, we'll go sleep at my place." Now, you have seen guys before coming carrying stuff. I want to put a disclaimer here. Pastor Mbeve, in all my life, I had been seeing guys who sleep on the streets. I had seen guys huddled in sacks on streets. But I had never believed that a normal, sane human being can go and sleep on the streets unless they have a problem, unless they are meant to. That day, the 30 shillings I should have gone lodging, we drank it. And at 11 o'clock, when the Karobo place closed, we went with the guy. And near St. Teresa's dispensary, there's a hardware there. Reach there, guy puts down this sack he's been carrying, and he starts trying to lay out 2 cartons on the ground. That's when, first of all your alcohol evaporates. And then you realize this is the place you're now going to sleep. But what do? Slept, and so we slept. That was my first night in the street. But then from there, slowly it became a few nights lodging, a few nights street. Eventually, I became a fully fledged street person. And that is where the horror of this whole story is, and what pushes us to do what we do now. But over to you, sir.
Wow. What a story. I wish we had 2 hours to listen to this. And I'm going to get back to you. I know we have lost Faith, but she is back. But before we come to Faith, just to say to all of you on Facebook that At Transform Nations, we do different programs for fathers and mothers, and we want to invite you in case you want to join us. We're going to be starting our programs in January, online and also in person. We have intentional dads, which is for the fathers. We have intentional moms, which is for the moms. We have Man Enough, which is for the men. And we have EZA, which is for the ladies, and mentoring of boys as well. So there's someone on the Facebook page who is giving the dates of when we are starting those programs. And we just want to ask you, those of you who are interested, to sign up. But thank you very much, Solomon. I mean, your story is amazing. I think we need a repeat of this session. But we're going to come back to you. I know we only have about 15 minutes left. Welcome back, Faith. We lost you a little bit there. But that's it with technology. And so, Faith, just out of a few of the things that have come up with Solomon, please just weigh in. I mean, talk about the transition, hard times, and how young people end up in a bad place. You know, the alienation, the love, and all of that. Say a few things into that as you advise the parents as well from Solomon's story.
Okay. Solomon, thank you for your great story. This is a real brave move to share with us your story. I'm looking at key issues that Solomon has raised. And every time that I'm looking at his story, I'm reading something called absence of love at foundational stages in life.
Mm.
The parents were not available to establish love and to make him feel accepted at the right place in the right time. When Solomon started isolating, probably the parents did not even get to pick that there is something wrong that is happening. And many times we as parents, we do not pick these challenges that we get. This particular challenge of our children isolating, we interpret it as mood swings. We say that it is a mood swing, or we say that they are teenagers, so just give them their time, they'll come around. That is the easy way of a parent being ignorant about what is happening in the life of a child. I want to believe that as a parent, your house should be open to you. Every room in your house should be open to you as a parent. What do I mean? My children's bedrooms are open to me. I can walk in as long as I have knocked, and at least I know that there is someone who's there and they are accepting that I can go in. I will knock because I respect them. I will knock because I also respect their privacy, but I will seek to understand, why are you in the bedroom for longer than normal? Longer time than normal. And if I notice that there is something that I do not understand, then I will invite them to the sitting room and we can even talk there. And I will look for a way, you know, the way our parents used to chew, let me use this word, to chew our time. Walikuwa wanatukulia masaa, or they used to eat up our time or use up our time. So your mother will call you from your bedroom and she'll start asking you questions about what you've not done, what you have done. They were so wise in a way, because they used to pull information from us in a different way. They start storytelling, or they tell you, no, come and sit here. And when you sit down there are so many things that you're engaged to do. So with that, the child knows that I don't have all this time to be private. I don't know what parents can use or what models parents can use, but I want to believe that if you have this way of engaging your children, at least throughout, and limit the time that they have on their own, then that way you can be able to tell when isolation is happening. Then the other thing is, if you notice that your child is having a trend of isolation, it may not actually be the excesses of alcohol. It could be your child is having a friend who comes to visit, and that friend is probably homosexual, and you don't know, or bisexual, and you do not know, because they appear to be very good friends. You're normally not in the house all the time. Then what happens? Your child is being introduced to vices that you do not ascribe to. Then because this child knows that this is not the value system in the family, they are afraid. So fear can cause isolation. And the other reality of, if I go before my parents, they will see I am a sinner. They are going to see exactly what I am doing. So at the end of the day, what happens? These children end up knowing that they don't care about us. They don't really bother about us. So, I mean, let me just stay in. And in the staying in, you never know. It could be even internet. It could be they are talking to people, or they are being introduced to orgies. They are being introduced to orgies or something. Because I understand that this orgy business right now in Kenya, it is something that your child will get into a game online. So they follow through. Technology has brought a lot of good things and also major challenges. So a child gets into a game, they play this game, and by the time they're through with the game, they've already been given a location. They're already given a location where they can be able to go for that orgy or that party that has been organized. So at the end of the day, what happens to our children? We lose our children because we are not careful. We lose our children because we do not bother with them. We lose our children because we lack supervision. We do not supervise. When I give my sons my phone, when I give my sons phones to use or gadgets to use, they have rules. What rules have you set for the gadgets in your family? Do the children go with the phones to the bedroom, or do they leave them in the sitting room? And you make sure that you supervise that all gadgets are locked and in the sitting room, they are switched off and in the sitting room at a certain time in the day. Then at the end of the day, do you even open these gadgets and go through and see whether there is any pornographic material that your child may have accessed? The friends and the parties the children go to, what are the children hiding in their bedrooms? Could it be that your child is actually having bangi in the house, and you keep telling him to make tea in the evening? He makes for you tea with milk, or she makes for you tea with milk, but his tea or her tea is strungi or strong tea. So he doesn't have milk, and you don't bother to check, and he only makes 1 cup. Very technical. 1 cup, so that it is not asked, someone does not ask for it. So your child starts taking some of these things under your nose. Do parents check their children's drawers? Do you take time to supervise, to look at what is happening in the house? I think some of these things are things that parents can actually do and be able to patch up things where they are. You had asked me a good question, Simon, that when you notice that your child is stuck in these things, when you notice that your child is already in excesses, how do you bring your child back? Number 1, love your child. Embrace this child. He has no one else to call mother and has no one else to call father in his life. By the time you're realizing it, your child is more vulnerable than when they started using whatever substance they're using or doing whatever they were doing. So the most important thing is first bring close your child, then find a way within your family to help this child out of what they are struggling with, and be part of the struggle to get out of it. Let them know that you appreciate them enough and you're willing to walk the journey with them. The problem with parents is that you want to take your child to rehab, leave them there for 3 months, go pick them up from rehab, come and bring them home. You have not changed the environment at all. If you are busy, you're still busy. If you are coming home when you're drunk, you're double drunk because now your child is actually having a problem. If you used to shout, you're screaming even more now. So what can a parent do? A parent can also change the environment by becoming the kind of model that these children need to be able to move on with life. The other thing is look for ways of engaging this child. Look for ways beyond support, beyond that intervention. Look for ways of supporting this child. Find out what are the interests of this child beyond this. What were your interests before you landed here? How can we help you to achieve this goal? And when the milestones are covered, when the goals are achieved, celebrate with your children. In Africa, we don't celebrate much with our children.
That's right.
I think it's time that parents decided that we need to celebrate our children. This is my work. It is not a burden. It is my work. I have to do it right. And the biggest thing I keep telling people, kneel down and pray for your children. That is a responsibility that we parents neglect, but it is a responsibility that is upon us all. When you have your children and they're already walking in this life, please, it is your responsibility as a parent to commit them to God. I know I'm a psychologist, but I said I am a mother. And I am careful about generations tomorrow. So if we want to have sober generations, we have to call God and engage him as we do this journey together. I hope I have tried to cover much. I forgot one thing. Actually, two things. As we do all these things, let us, your child is still your child. So when they come home, try and introduce value systems that are strong and that will live forever. What do I mean that will live forever? They will live with beyond your house. Introduce value systems, not all of them at all, but at least introduce one and keep reminding them, keep talking to them about it. My mom used to tell me when I was raising my children, Faith, I will say this in Kikuyu and then I'll interpret. Jeraga kaigema, meaning keep telling me the truth over and over and over again. The more your children hear the truth from you as a parent, they will record that, and that is what they will do. It is the same thing that they will pass on to generations to come after them. The other thing is be patient. Change does not happen in a day.
That's true.
Change does not happen in 2 days. For Solomon to be the man and the great man that we are seeing today, he went through a process. Let us be patient with our children. If they fault, we bring them back and we walk the journey with them.
That's true.
Thank you. Back to you, Simon.
Wow. There's so much that we can talk. I think Ruth John is saying this topic is very profound. I wish we can have this topic expounded more in the season 2 of it, because it's a lot of information, and it's true. I think we are going to continue. I know our time is almost up, actually. And Solomon, we're just halfway where you are. So I think we're going to have you again next week so that we finish this story and get deeper also to some of the practical things so that we don't do injustice to the topic by rushing through it. But thank you to all of you who have been able to write a lot on the Facebook page. Some of you saying you came in late, so you want the full story. And yes, we are going to put this up. The full video and recording will be on our Transform Nations page, but also on Transform Nations YouTube channel. And Elsie, thank you. You've been very involved and writing many things there. Bessie Akumu as well. All of you, there are very many comments there. I can't read all of them, but wonderful. Again, to remind you, out of Transform Nations, if you want to get involved in any of our programs, there's a contact there. You can reach us, you can reach to us, and also you can be part of what we are doing. Well, unfortunately, I think we need to come towards a close, and time is up. Solomon, we're going to have you next week, but would like for you just to conclude by telling us just in a minute or two that your story, of course, did not end up on the street. And just a tip of how it turned and changed so that we pick it from there next week. And then now you can tell us about your book, so that those who would want to get it can get it. Then I'll come to you, Faith, as well, and just tell us in a minute or so what you do as well and how people can get involved. Solomon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, of course, I lived in the streets. I stayed in the streets. That's a story that we'll talk next time. But by the grace of God, my story did not end there. I even tried suicide, and even there I failed. By the grace of God, the same program, Greater Life Concern, that I now run is the same program that got me out of the streets. And through the word of God, has been able to get me to where I am now. The book, I know we'll talk more about that next week, but the book, my book, this book, Dokora, My Life as an Addict, the cover price for this book is 1,000 shillings. Its proceeds help me to do the work that I do. It can be found, you can give me a call on 0715 874 094, or you can get it on booksformysoul.com. Online, it's there, booksformysoul.com. You'll be able to get it. And thank you so much. So, lastly, Greater Life Concern. This is a men's ministry. It is dedicated to transforming the lives of those men who live in the streets. And we'll talk more about it next time, but I would really like to welcome many of you to join in that one. And Pastor, thank you very much, because a lot of your Man Enough program guys have been a part of the same program that we run there. And I'll appreciate Tosh for also making this. Tosh is Anthony. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Solomon. We are proud of your story. A lot of people have commented on Facebook and said they have learned so much from your story. And we are glad. I think this is a Christmas season, so I want to invite all of you from Facebook, if you're able to support what Solomon is doing, and get the book as well. If you didn't get his number, just talk to us at Transform. We'll connect you with him so that you'll be able to get the book. So thank you very much, Solomon. We're proud of just what you're doing, and that we thank God that your life did not end on the street, that you came back to sanity, and now you're helping so many people. May the Lord bless you. We appreciate that. Faith.
Yes.
Yeah, we know you do the thriving families, and just in a brief, what is it that you do? What are you doing with the programs?
Okay, thank you very much, Simon. At Thriving Families Kenya, we offer counseling services. We are a psychosocial service provider. And what we do, we have 3 pillars. The first pillar is on family network, where we have innovative ways of engaging with families and training families on different areas on their life and how to become better and how to create a better and healthy environment at the family unit. Then we have the second pillar, where we purely offer psychosocial services. We do counseling. It's more of the mental health psychosocial service provision. Then our third pillar is on engaging men in gender equality. We happen to be partners with the State Department of Gender, where we are advocating for the rights of men in gender equality. We are also reaching out to men. So we talk about the mental health of men.
Hello, Faith. Did we lose you? All right. It looks like we're losing Faith. The network challenges. But I think those of you would want more information about Thriving Families Kenya, please feel free to go to their page, and there are contacts there in case you need some counseling, especially for the men, because many times we never seek for counseling. That would be a good place to find that kind of counseling. And so, Faith, I think we have completely lost you, but we are grateful. Let me say thank you to you, Solomon. Thank you to Faith. We appreciate this conversation. Thank you to all of you that have rejoined us on Facebook. We're going to be here again on Sunday. We're going to have a continuation of a story. We're going to have a new guest who will be with us as well. And I believe we're going to have a great Sunday next week. So thank you, everyone. God bless you. Remember the key lessons we have learned. Parents and caregivers, let's be involved. Let's see what to do when we don't know what to do with our children. We can find support and help from many other people. But let's be involved and realize this is our joint problem, and all of us need to help our children as they go into excesses. A lot we have learned. I cannot summarize all of it because of time, but I want to wish you a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon, wherever you may be. Thanks again, and I just want to say a brief prayer as we finish. Solomon, let me pray for us. Lord Almighty, we're grateful. We thank you for the story that Solomon has shared with us, and Faith as well, contribution. We know that their parents are going through a difficult time because of children who are already in excesses, and we ask that you will help us know what to do and how to help our children. Thank you for the conversation tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you, Solomon. God bless you, everyone, and see you next week on Sunday.
God bless you all too.
Thank you.